Welcome to another weekend here on the platform. My name is Omatseye. Welcome to Big Talk. I have a special guest today, and it's none other than Professor Femi Osofisan, writer, poet, polemicist, dramatist, newspaper pundit, and public commentator. He has written an interesting new book titled Gamaliel Onosode, Classicals and Honorable Life. Thank you very much for being on this show, sir.
Thank you very much.
The upbringing of Onosode was also a fascinating part of it, the father and the mother. I want to read a portion of the book which was really fascinating, and I think readers will have to indulge me when I go through this. It will take some time. Well, the background to this is that Onosode's mother was on the sick bed, and she thinks she's going to die. And Onosode has started working in Lagos, and he's summoned to Benin. And he drives to Benin to meet the mother, and everybody is there waiting for him, all the relatives, the sisters. And the doctor from Malta takes Onosode aside and says, look, don't go anywhere. Don't go to any hospital, don't do anything. This woman is not going to survive a few days or even a few hours. So find a way to tell her this story. And Onosode in Benin feels he doesn't have to tell this story to the mother. And the sisters are worried. They don't know what to do because the father is in Igun, Kokore waterside. And the man wants the woman to come back to Igun, whereas they say she's so fragile and she should stay with the sister, is one of her daughters in Benin, where they could take care of her till she passes on. But the Onosode is wise and understands the intransigence of the father and says, no, we can't do this without going to the father. Let's take her in a fragile state to the father and tell him, well, we are going to take this woman to Benin where she can take care of her. You know, both of you are old. You can't take care of her and she can't take care of you. And that's where I want to read the drama that ensues. It says, but he, although that continues stubbornly, so well, what I'm trying to say is Onosode talking to his father, Pinnock. Say, well, what I'm trying to say is that we, that is my sisters and I, we feel that it won't be right for us to leave both of you here like this, since none of you can come and stay here with you. I mean, you can't take care of her, and she's going to be in bed all the time. And the father says, yes, and so? They say, what we feel is that my sisters and I, and Auntie Jessie here, that you should allow us to take Mama away. Take her back with us for now. Then, when are you out of your mind, young man? That's the father talking. Sir, what I mean that, shut up! You think you are now big enough to give me instructions, eh? No, sir. It's not that what impudence you. It's not me alone. I say, shut up. Auntie Jessie. He looked around desperately to seek support, but the woman was looking away. This Auntie Jessie is kind of a matriarch in the family. But the woman was looking away determinedly, cringing to make herself as inconspicuous as possible. Listen, young man, and all of you, this woman is my wife. And I'm the one who will decide what's good or not for her. Just as I've been doing before any of you was born. You hear? I say, she's staying here, and that's that. But Papa, one of the sisters begins to wail. Papa, she is no, not one word from any of you. That's my decision. Your mama is going nowhere. Then, nonsense. The voice lashed the air suddenly like a whip. Startled, they all turned to look. It was Mama. She had thrown off the shawl that was across her chest and was now sitting bolt upright in the chair, her chest heaving, a look on her face that none of them had ever seen. I say, Pinnock, that's the mother talking, the pretending man of God. No, you don't decide for me anymore. I had been a big effort for her, obviously, and she was now seized by a round of coughing. But recovering herself, she continued, a hand waving weakly at her husband. That's all over now. You seized and controlled my life all these years, and now it's over. I'm not staying with you. I'm escaping, going with my children. Aguara, that's what he calls Onosode's mother. His voice came in a strangled plea. He rose up from the chair and started towards her. No, I say, don't come near me, wicked man, or I'll tell them the truth today, yes. They will hear about the evil life you have been living all these years. Shameless man. He had stopped dead, tottering slightly, a look of utter bafflement on his face. But Aguara, what are you talking about? I won't die here, you hear? She began screaming at him. I'll not let you kill me. All these years you've enslaved me. After what you did, what did I do? Yes, tell them now. Rape. You forced yourself on me, and that's why I became your wife and began to live with you in sin. It's why I'm being punished today with this illness that God has sent to me. All the children just stood there watching, too shocked to talk. But what are you talking about? Tell your children, confess. Don't hide it anymore. That they are all the product of incest. Yes, a brother raping his sister. That day, you forced me on the ground and I was crying, stop, stop, and you refused to stop. Incest. And now, that's why I'm dying like this today. But your day of reckoning is coming. Yes, your own is bound to come. But I don't understand you, said Pinnock. What incest are you talking about? Stop pretending, headmaster. But a man, be a man and admit it. All these years of living in sin and producing children together, me and you, brother and sister. Me and you? But Aguara, we are not siblings. That's Pinnock saying. No need to lie anymore. I'm already paying the price, and I know you too. You are going to pay if you don't start praying to God for forgiveness. But you are not making sense. I got pregnant and they quickly married us to hush the scandal. And I've prayed and prayed for years since then for God to forgive me. But she flung her hand across her face and began now to sob silently. There was some slight pause as the children looked at one another at a loss of what to do or say. Then suddenly some sound began that made them turn towards the old man as he held to the frame of the window. Slowly the sound increased in volume, and the children discovered to their amazement that it was laughter. The old man was laughing. Then laughing, and he laughed so much in a way that they had never seen him laugh, with all his body shaking and the guffaws filling the entire room. Finally, he found his voice. Mama, he said, Mama, you are totally, utterly wrong. Yes, you are not my sister, not my blood sister at all. The laughter took hold of him again. Ah, so that's what you thought. How funny. It's true you grew up in our house, but we are not related at all. What are you saying, Pinnock? She said. You mean no one ever told you? Pinnock said. Ah, if I had known, Pa Gogobi, who, you remember him? That was your father. He handed you over to my father when you were just an infant because they were close friends. Yes, and he said you should marry when you are grown up. My father raised you like one of his children, yes, but as a future daughter-in-law, there was no sin at all in our marriage. Say you are not lying, swear. She was staring at him, half unbelieving, half expectant of what appeared like relief beginning to burn in her eyes. It's the truth, I swear. You mean we are not related at all? Not in the same manner as siblings. Ah, my God, what a relief, she sighed, finally. So we are not siblings. Oh, how I've suffered all these years. Needlessly, and you never told me about it. Why? Because I was so ashamed. I believe strongly we were living in sin, that the children were products of sin, and that we're all damned. No wonder your strange behavior at times. How I wish you just mentioned it even once. Well, I could go on this story, but what followed the story was that the woman who was on the deathbed lived for over 10 more years in great health. That was amazing, wasn't it?
That was a story worth telling.
Yes,
it's remarkable. It's very striking.
And it's also a reflection of the disconnects within couples in that generation.
I mean, they couldn't talk. I mean, she couldn't, not like nowadays, just ask, what is that, you know?
Yes.
But in those days, you couldn't. You just accepted it. This is what your parents wanted you to do. Whereas she was convinced that he had raped her.
Yes.
And she was bearing the consequences.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. Then there was also that part of him about being a man of miracles. Can you walk us through that?
Well, I mean, you have to read the book.
Yes.
Because each time, you know, something happened, they were expecting him either to die or something.
He got back to life. And then there was one in which they thought that they took him abroad and they thought that he was going to go. And the man said, let me fast. And then they go back to the doctor and the doctor said, no more surgery.
Yeah. Remarkable. Each time, you know. In fact, I think it affected the story one way because when he died also, I think nobody was expecting him to die.
Yeah. Because he had been surviving so many.
Hospitalized so many times. And, so, you know, it's terrible. It's very fascinating stuff.
Very, very fascinating. There's also the story of his life as a corporate titan, which is something that, you know, many people do not really know the full story. Even at one time, it was vilified over Ken Saro-Wiwa's death and execution, as though he had a hand in it, as though his report recommended it. When he was working to bring together a document that actually gave us NDDC today.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the story. I said, you know, Nigerians don't know enough about it. We need to really know more. You know, it's a national hero.
Well, there was this recollection. I'm sure about when he was going to Government College Ibadan. I remember a story, and I was looking for it here because my father also hailed from that part. He used to say that in those days in Kokori, there was one exam that Onosode, you know, there was one exam he did that was one of a few in the whole country. He was telling me, my father was telling me the story, that people felt that he excelled so much, and it was in the newspapers. And when I was reading the book, I was trying to see it. And that was when he got the state scholarship to go to University of Ibadan. And he had 3 scholarships. And the state scholarship, he didn't have the papers. And then he went to Ibadan and he said, well, my name is Onosode. Oh, you're the one with you're the scholar who got the state scholarship. And that's how I got there. It was very interesting for me to see a story that my father told me when I was young. Just seeing it here was really fascinating. Then the Onosode too was a kind of a prankster too when he was in school at Tugeli.
All these young people. It's just normal, isn't it?
Very normal, yeah. It is also interesting that, you know, a man who did not like to spend money, I mean, who did not pay attention to wealth and so on, and who was very particular about being money disciplined and all of that. When he wanted to do wedding for his daughters, he made them lavish, and you expect surprise at that. Yeah. How do you reconcile that other Onosode?
Well, I guess we are all full of contradictions between sentiment and reason. He had not indulged himself in any kind of unnecessary, but the children were there growing up, and he thought he needed to give them something to encourage them. No, I think it's normal. I think it's just normal in life. These contradictions sometimes become very, very important and bring people down. But it's just normal. It's part of life.
Part of
he
life.
He deprived himself, and he didn't care for materials. But it wasn't only his children he indulged. I saw many people also coming to him, and people like to abuse his generosity. So it was there, he really think on himself, but he be generous to others.
There's also the story about a fellow who married one of his daughters, who expected that, oh, this is Onosode's daughter, they must be rich, and then 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, where is the money? Where is the money? Where is the money I thought that you people will have in this family? And then he bolted from the marriage because he didn't see the money. It shows how, society sometimes can give you virtues or vices that you have nothing to do with.
Well, that's one of the stories actually that the family felt uncomfortable about.
Yes, one of the stories, yeah.
But that's the truth. So even those of us who are less important get this kind of reaction from people thinking that you have money.
They have money, yes.
And fame and money are usually confused together.
Yes.
You have a name,
you have to have cash. Money, yes.
And so you get preyed on like that. People who attach themselves to you, hoping to suck. But then when they discover this, they are heavily disappointed. They don't know what to do.
Okigbo, the Okigbo you saw in that book, I understand that you knew Okigbo well. How do you reconcile the Okigbo that was the roommate of the Okigbo you knew? You're talking of the poet Okigbo, yes.
Well, I was young when I knew him, in fact. But I really believe that, you know, this is the kind of person he was, you know, very.
When he was broke,
Drawn to be.
yes, when he was broke, he would carry his money, he's got a cup, and go outside, so everybody should donate their money.
I mean, for instance, I remember once, you know, because I was still, well, what was I think I was just teaching them. Was I teaching or I was still in the final year? I think I was teaching. I had come out of school and waiting for my exam results, you know, to go to University of Ibadan. So I was on the campus of GCI, Government College Ibadan. And that was when he used to come and pick me up.
Okay.
Went to Bari, and one day I saw him. I had to ask him, you know, what is the meaning of your poetry? I can't understand it. Yeah. And that's how we came together. We laughed so much, and since then, you know, I mean, evenings he would drive all the way from town and come to me at Government College and pick me up, and we'd go out, and
yeah.
I mean, that kind of thing. You know. But there were two incidents. I don't know if I recount them. There are two incidents to judge his character. You know, when I said what's poetry and I want to write poetry, he said, okay, come. So both of us.
That's Okigbo.
Yes.
Yeah, no, he's not here.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway. So I mean, he came for me as usual, and we went. Take your typewriter. He went to his own room, typewriter in the office at Mbari, you know. Okay, let's start writing. I mean, of course, I soon fell asleep.
Oh, he told me something. He said you told him, Ohi Alegbe.
Okay.
He said you told him a story that when we were with Okigbo, that Okigbo would write a piece of poetry and look, he said, "What, don't you like it?" And then after looking at it, he would tear it. Yes. Is that true? He would just destroy it.
You know, I mean, we spent the whole night there, and I was, you know, then, you know, morning he said, okay, read it. And I read it, four lines.
Yes.
Of course, they sounded nice to me. Yeah. He just thought the whole thing, I squeezed it up. There were so many papers squeezed on the ground.
Yes.
Just threw it down. He said, this is no good. Let's go.
Probably mortal lines, who knows?
You know, but that's what he meant when he said logistics.
Yes.
Poetry is.
Yes.
You know, very careful. But I think the one that probably comes near this experience that one day we were arrested by the police. They stopped him and his cars. I don't know which paper he didn't have. He didn't have any paper anyway. And the policeman was questioning him. He was just get out. I got out, and you know, as the question, he was just locking up the car. I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "Let's go and take a taxi."
He just abandoned the car.
Oh my God, he was such a jolly person. You know?
Yeah, very jolly fellow as well.
So I mean, I believe.
What is the takeaway you think anybody should from this book?
Well, I would like to know from you because I mean, I've written the book.
Yes.
I've exposed the life and times of, again, you know, the weaknesses, the strengths.
The strengths, yeah.
Of you know, somebody who has lived an exemplary life. I think it's necessary for all young people really to read this, you know, and learn from this kind of life. You know, you don't have to be evil. You don't have to, you know, to bow, to surrender to all kinds of negative things just because you want to make it. If you stand by your principles and so on, you can also, you know, read, you know. So I think that kind of thing that's really what I enjoyed about writing the book. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know what others to pick from it. You know, that's my own.
Some people will take from it, those who are enamored of faith will really be encouraged by the man's steadfastness. Baptist, whose story of miracles and resistance in a whirlpool of corruption, he stood firm till the end. Some people will look at a man who was studious and who was focused and who resigned. He resigned when things did not work his way. He did so many things that were amazing. I recommend this book. This is a book that everybody should read because of the tale that it tells of a Nigeria that is possible, of humanity that is possible. And Onosode died a few years ago, an octogenarian. He lived long, even though they thought he would die many years earlier. Thank you very much, Professor Osofisan, for being on this show. And this has been a very good interview for a book that has extraordinary lessons for this generation. Thank you very much, sir, for being on this show. My poem on Leah Sharibu will be read to you now.
You don't need a trophy or medal to be a champion. Just be there. Dare, hang on, take the beating, be the best. Endure. Don't run, don't jump. Never give up. You outwit all by staying who you are.
Thank you for being on this show. You can join up with my column at